Survivals by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Apology. Once the discovery by a certain revered bank president of a few harmless verses lost the writer a promotion, and well nigh cost him his clerkship and living. "A proper young man," exclaimed the president to the cashier, "but poetry and banking don't mix. He should enter upon a literary career." Alas, what was most longed for could be least afforded. The heart clave to the career, the handicapped youth clung to the clerkship. That was long ago. Now that one could make shift to afford a little poetry, it is too late for the career. In a recent biography of the late John Mills, banker, reformer, and poet of Lancashire, we are informed that our own Emerson was one among Mills's many friends, and one day hearing Alexander Ireland read some of Mills's poems, yet in manuscript, Emerson asked, "Why does he not publish them?" When Ireland repeated this to Mills, the banker remarked, "If I published a book of poetry, there would be a run on the bank in no time." Perhaps the old bankers were both right, though it is to be hoped that the business world grows kinder and more tolerant as it grows older. The daily grind of Wall Street or of Threadneedle Street does not foster fine thought, nor does it aid in cultivating the imagination. And yet men have been found in responsible positions whose services to mankind were not lessened by a struggle toward poetical ideals. Such ideals the writer has at least cherished, without growing ashamed. To him also life has in the main worn serious and religious aspects, and he has had some part in the church militant. He confesses that seriousness, even to intensity, is not poetry. Here, doubtless, he needs and he craves indulgence. Still he trusts that fervor and aspiration are not yet, even at the turn of the century, accounted as alien to the best spirit of modern verse. An overfond mother of blessed memory valued and kept together her boy's poems. When she died, a practical and prudent relative, happening into possession of the pile of papers, marveled at their inutility, and of them promptly made a holocaust. Just how a certain few of the older collection were saved, and some later ones added, it is not now important to recount. In John Bunyan's poetic allegory there is a quaint figure of an old man with a muckrake, gathering unconsidered trifles. It would be sad to spend much of this probationary life wielding the muckrake. One apology might in this case be that raking these 40 compositions out of the remnants of 40 years has furnished a brief diversion in a life too much devoted to the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of other people's riches. For the publication of these remnants or survivals, no apology is attempted. End of section. This recording is in the public domain. Survivals by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. God's universe is one. He is its soul. He vitalizes, guides, informs the whole. Matter exists not as a lifeless thing, but, full of sentience and obedience, spring suns, worlds, and songbirds to make glad acclaim of unity of life in one great name. In essence, all is spirit. Every clod attests its link and loyalty to God. Attraction, gravitation, are but words hollow of meaning, when the thought affords no just relation to the primal force, no hint of union to the central source. God's universe is spirit. Things that seem so real are but shadows. What we deem as stalwart entities, full oft are mere refractions through a clouded atmosphere. Material things, sight, feeling, touch, and taste, attest them momently, and then they waste. Some melt like snowflakes in the vernal sun. By friction, rust, decay, are some undone. These are but children of the earth and air, without fixed habitation anywhere. Through them, as through electric currents, come bright, hopeful messages to souls that roam. 'Twas a vibration, 'twas a passing wave, the short-lived medium hasted to its grave. The message stayed, perchance, a promise given, a word of love, a truth, a hope of heaven. And if things earthly and material fade, if the free winds the lofty hills abrade, if hungry seas, ever demanding more, gnaw the receding margins of the shore, if earth herself, like a great moth, must fly about her luring sun-lamp in the sky, and then perchance some day fall in and burn, if e'en the lamp into a cinder turn, these wasting things, that haste to old from new, are surely not the constant and the true. And what are quarrels and disputes of men about God's truth? Fogs are they from the fen, as oppositions, science made, so called, but falsely. Many, stumbling and enthralled amongst these vapors, strain their sight to see the way to life and light and liberty. Ah, what is life? Indulgence, struggle, care, cunning device, persistence, foul or fair, in what is called success. These make for death, they pass, they are not, hardly had they breath. Of all within the sky of Calvary, what in that dark horizon do we see living supernal, shining there as true, amid the dreadful death damp and the dew? Great love to man and loyalty to God, these live, are true, and shed their light abroad. All else, the soldiers and the multitude, the scoffing priests and their benighted brood, phantoms less real than the blackened sky, out of that presence, lo, they pass and die. Pass, leaving only in that sacred scene the Christ, the Mother, and the Magdalene. What lasts, what lives forever, but the truth? Wastes not with age, but holds for aye its youth. The soul of man that loves it shall not fall. Who knows it not has never lived at all. Men move as phantoms in a world of strife. The gift of God is everlasting life. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. December by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. As through some sun-forsaken canyon stress explorers pass to find a bright beyond, so through this dark defile, December, press lives following larger light and hope still fond. Shivers and shrivels now the winter day, and grave and grizzled is the weary year. But eyes of faith dwell not on hues of gray, and hearts of trust are unabashed by fear. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. May by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Month of family anniversaries. Gladdest of all the months comes tripping May, her breezes laden with her snow-white bloom, and steeped in perfume from the dawn of day till evening gently glides from gloam to gloom. Month full of happiest hope and memory, of plans and retrospects, with many a thought of truest tenderness for those whom we, closest to our own loving hearts, have caught. O gladsome May! O witching, winsome May! How rich the light of thine expanding day!
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Apostrophe by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Betsy Blossom, tall and lithesome, maiden of the nut-brown hair, maiden of the pure white forehead, eyes so tender, face so fair, blossom of a stem immortal, soul thou art, undying, sweet, that shall tread through countless aeons on the paths where angels meet. Betsy Blossom, glee and gladness, go thy gliding steps along. From thy lips so red, bewitching, falls the ripple of a song. Fall the fine thoughts of the ages, fall those love thoughts said apart, which betimes when thou art absent whisper softly to my heart. Do I love thee, Betsy Blossom? Does the robin love her nest? Does the blue sky love the cloudlet, whose soft hand has touched his breast? Does the zephyr love the tree-tops? Does the moonbeam love the mead? Yes, I love thee, Betsy Blossom, and my love is love indeed.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Tahawas by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Courage, comrades! Shall the mountain our ambitious hopes defy? Courage! Lo, the trail we follow toward the peak that cleaves the sky. These be craven guides who warn us not to dare today his crest. Come, the Day-King's bannered pageant soon shall vanish from the west, tramping where the avalanches rive the forests wide apart. Daring shaggy old Tahawas, losing path but never heart. Now we press the virgin thickets, yonder flashing cascades pour. There the fuming, foaming torrents strain their jaws in futile roar. Safe at last, and little recking of our weariness, we stand on this pinnacle of wonder, sweeping all the vision grand. God is great, the hills declare it. God is great, the vales confess. Winds and woods and waters sound it through this templed wilderness. Here is nature's fittest altar, here her orisons arise. Snowy clouds her daily incense, tears of dew her sacrifice. Mountain guards surround the stronghold, staunch and faithful in defense. In their stately presence standing, know, O man, thy impotence. Yonder white face, sternly silent, watches steadfastly his gate. Everywhere are prophet fingers, pointing upward, fixed as fate. Skylight from his lofty window, many a shining lake espies. Chalices for giants brimming with the vintage of the skies. Hillsides peopled still with forests, planted, reared by hand divine. Heirs of far, unstoried ages, worthy of their noble line. In the southern sky see iris, blending soft translucent hues. Orion's brow the sun's last glances with a crimson blush suffuse. Emblems beautiful, but transient, of the pleasures earth affords. Like these calm enduring mountains are the joys that heaven accords. Is it strange that on the hilltops God His presence oft hath shown, that from Sinai's curtained summit came the law as from His throne, that on Pisgah to His servant He should point the promised land, or in fane of blessed Moriah give His chosen priests command? Let me on thy rocky forehead God's eternal law behold, through thy clouds the glorious promise of a brighter land unfold. Let me hear His voice almighty in thy blast so strong and free. Then shalt thou, O great Tahoas, be a holy place to me. May His presence, who was tempted in the wilderness alone, hear my weary spirit strengthen, to my heart His love make known. Let me, like the blessed apostles, quench my thirst at wisdom's fount. Then my soul shall ever praise Him for this sermon on the Mount.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sabbath at Beach Lake, Adirondack Region, by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. The Sabbath has dawned, but the winds know it not. In tumultuous revel they roar round our cot, and the storm clouds have joined in the chase on the mountains, whilst the floods, erst imprisoned, rush forth from their fountains. The dark waves are quivering in anxious unrest, the fear-humbled cedars bow low from the west. But here from this house in the wilderness rise glad anthems of praise to the storm-shrouded skies. Anon, as we meditate, stilled is the storm, and nature seems standing with reverent form, in silence attending her Master's behest, her turbulent elements hushing in rest. In groups now our silvery pathway we take, where gracefully rests the white arm of the lake. Her hand grasps a grotto of beauty most rare, with richest of canopies, tapestry fair. On mosses like these fairies trip their light feet. This rock for the altar of giants is meet. Athwart leafy curtains lie sun-gilded bars. Yon pines are like watchtowers that call to the stars. What is said to the echoes they're sure to repeat. In this wilderness world one must still be discreet. Words of kindness or slander, of love or of hate, return to mix blessing or woe with our fate. The clouds from the mountains like incense ascend. The charms of bright autumn in harmony blend. The twilight falls softly on hillside and shore. Night halts at her chamber to open the door.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Boating up the Oswegatchie, by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Boating up the Oswegatchie, up the river swift and strong, flowing here with silent purpose, which to noble men belong, yonder breaking into song. Lo, the sportive finny beauties, flecked with gold and silver gray, hiding in the coolest coverts, leap they now to seize their prey, leap to rue the fatal day. Floating on the Oswegatchie in the fearful solemn night, start we at the scream of panther, fly the red deer from our light, through the pines of templed height. Camping on the Oswegatchie spreads our tent like angel wings, Altar-like our campfire blazes, piled with fragrant offerings. Sweet the rest that nature brings.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Lily of the Lake by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Lily fair, bring unto me what summer wind and wave have given thee, drooping in modest mien, yet blushing not, serene, guileless of vain pretense, conscious of innocence, angel to soul and sense, sweet, pure and brave. Lily bride, bride of the wave, true though the jealous wind whisper or rave, lying in love confessed, safe on his heaving breast, prizing his kisses while meeting Apollo's smile, courtly and kind. Lily home, home of the bee, gold lined and draped in white, king here is he, palace of perfume rare, richest of royal fare, cup fit for Ganymede, fairest of homes indeed, open to light. Lily star, star of the day, phantom of evening star, caught here astray, stealing upon the deep in the dark hour of sleep, captured but turned with hope, aye, to the azure slope, beaming afar. Lily crown, crown of the lake, at nature's banquet worn, worn for her sake. Lake, robed in silken sheen, smiling, while hills in green send her, from lordly heights, tribute streams of delights, cheerily borne.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Brook by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Sweet is this breath of mountain air, and this rest from our wildwood tramp, and sweet is the brimming cup I quaff from the brook behind our camp. It flows through the graves of ancient trees that moulder in darkness and damp, yet an ever fresh and living stream is the brook behind our camp. It treasures the glance of the noontide beam and the gleam of the starry lamp, for pure as the soul that is free from guile is the brook behind our camp. In vain seek the envious rocks and roots its freedom to crush or cramp. It trolls along its liberty song, the brook behind our camp. Often in busy haunts I shall pray, let my character take its stamp, from the constancy, purity, freedom, and force of the brook behind our camp.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Chazy by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. The minstrel breezes touch the chords that sweep across the waves, and echo answers to our shouts from distant mountain caves, while Cynthia's cloudy shallops skim her calm cerulean sea. Here in our light canoe we float on beautiful Chazy. The mountains sombre and sublime stand bold against the skies, stern sentinels that sleepless watch the cradled lake that lies in childlike innocence and trust, breathing so peacefully, while starry dreams their light diffuse o'er beautiful Chazy. Bright Cynthia, guide thy cloudy fleet across thine azure sea. Ye warrior hills, in mail of green, watch ever steadfastly. Sweet lake, still trustfully repose, and may my destiny be calm and bright as thou to-night, O beautiful Chazy.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Delaware Water Gap, 1859, by Lewis V.F. Randolph, read for LibriVox.org. Beautiful may be the rivers of the distant olden world, grand indeed must be its mountains, round whose foreheads oft are curled snowy locks like those depending from the old-time courtier's brow. But we may not pause to muse upon their boasted splendors now, for within the ample limits of our own beloved state, scenes replete with rare enticements our portrayal still await. Have you stood upon our borders where the waters gently sweep, twixt the stern and stately mountains these their faithful vigils keep? And like parents fondly gazing on the infant of their care, seem to listen to the prattle of the lovely Delaware. 'Twas a balmy summer evening when my poet friend and I first beneath that placid current saw the shadows mingled lie, while the sun his parting glances cast athwart the waters clear, ere he weighed his golden anchor for another hemisphere. Near at hand a boat was lying on the sloping pebbled strand. On the sylvan shore the mountain grew more gloomy and more grand, till her sunny tresses buried low in night's maternal lap. Joyous day had sunk to slumber in the peaceful water gap. In the morning we are climbing the redoubted Jersey bluff, scaling nature's lofty battlements, precipitous and rough, where the rattlesnake's reveille beats to warn you of his blow, and the pilot, fierce gorilla, lurks concealed to strike the foe. Now we pluck the starry laurel, joy from desolation born, on the highest peak the richest, like the wreath by greatness worn. As we stand upon the summit, what a landscape greets our eye! Looking eastward, town and hamlet, field and wood alternate lie. Yonder basks the sleepy hillside in the sun's somnific beam, now and then a filmy shadow floating o'er it like a dream. Just before us to the westward rise the heights of Minnesink, and beyond the chain of Pocono, with many a giant link, in its everlasting fetters holds the uncomplaining earth, bound in unremitting thraldom from the moment of her birth. Far below the river stretches like a python through the vale. On the shore a crawling reptile seems the dragon of the rail. Glancing upward we behold the graceful cloudlets overhead, like the spotless robes of angels on the azure meadow spread. So we gaze with happy wonder all around, above, below, while our hearts with warm devotion to the great Designer glow. When at night we find our chamber full of gentle, holy light, every low and carnal passion from our bosoms takes its flight. As we muse upon the pleasures and the glories of the day, in a trance of silent ecstasy our spirits float away. Every thought is hushed in silence, every busy sense is still, lulled to slumber by the music of the plaintive whippoorwill.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Invocation by Lewis V.F. Randolph, LibriVox.org. As comes the clear dawn to the gray star-eyed morning, as come the warm pulses of love-life to youth, so graciously shine with thy brightness adorning, so come to my soul, Holy Spirit of truth. Long over my thought has doubt mistily brooded, this heart the world demons have sought to debase. Temptations have pressed me, false lights have deluded. O give me thy true light, sweet Spirit of grace. Across the still sea has the Day-King ascending, paved with gold a plain path to his throne in the sky. So show me some golden path heavenward tending, and along that bright way let my faith gladly fly. Thou, who at the Jordan so sweetly didst hover, above the Messiah of God, gentle dove, now one of his straylings guide thou to safe cover, and abide ever near me, dear Spirit of love.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
We walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7. By Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. I saw a sad young woman on the car tending a puny boy, whose eyeballs told a tale of helpless blindness. But he clung close to his mother, listened for her voice, spoke to her often, wished to touch her hand. She was his joy, light of his sunless life. Weary, his trembling little limbs lay down to rest, his eyelids closed o'er sightless balls. But ever and anon he waked and wailed, "Mother, don't leave me in the dark alone!" And yet again, in fretful monotone, "Mother, don't leave me in the dark alone!" With mother absent, all was dark to him. When she was surely near, light blessed his life. She was his all, and conscious of her love and precious presence, he would not complain, though night's weird chamber compassed him for aye, as dark and narrow as the house of death. So grope we here, dear Lord, and so complain, if fearful that thy love is shut from us. More tender than a mother's love is thine. Its rays can pierce our else unfathomed gloom, reveal horizons wide and bright with hope. A path, though strait and thorny too betimes, hallowed by blood drops of thy sacrifice, and leading on to honor and to thee. The sweet effulgence of thy presence lights our way, and makes our blindness turn to sight. With thee we're blessed, without thee desolate. Oh, never leave us in the dark alone.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The peace of God. Philippians chapter 4, verse 7. By Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Oh, who can e'er compute its height, or tell how deep and broad the peace that fills with pure delight the soul that trusts in God? Though calumny may wield her blade, and chastisement her rod, the pure in heart may, undismayed, dwell in the peace of God. Through Jesus Christ, his grace alone, our hearts with peace can fill. E'en sorrow's waves their Master own, commanding, "Peace, be still." Whatever else thou dost deny, Father, this boon bestow, that while I live, and when I die, thy peace I still may know.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Master, where dwellest thou? John chapter 1, verse 38. By Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Where dwells the Christ? In palaces of ease, in courts of splendor, or in halls of mirth? These would not welcome him. He seeks not these, but dwells with those who know his royal worth. Where dwells the Christ? In scenes of peace alone, far down the verdant vale of safe content? Nay, for to him no earthly rest was known, but sword and strife with him on earth were sent. Where dwells the Christ? On fierce temptation's mount, on stormy sea, in solitudes unknown, wherever grief unlocks her tearful fount, in stricken sorrow's garden, dark and lone. Where dwells the Christ? Amidst the poor, the blind, the broken-hearted, sin-sick and defiled, restoring lepers and the shattered mind, raising the dead, blessing the tender child. Scarce can we say the Lord of glory dwelt amidst the scenes of human joy or ill, yet on our earth, whose griefs his great heart felt, the perfume of his presence lingers still. Ay, more than this, for in the deeper sense he dwells today with those who love his word. This gift I crave, with longing most intense, the sweet indwelling of my precious Lord.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
(1865) By Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. What hast thou hidden, mournful night? What have ye seen, O stars? A country turning to the light, covered with sacred scars, plunged back in dark and dire distress by one foul fiendish deed that leaves a people comfortless, makes every true heart bleed. It was no common crime that struck that godlike man to earth, ruthless, the tender eye to pluck that watched our land's new birth. No word, nor treason, fratricide, nor parricide can tell his act, whose hand was so allied with powers of deepest hell. This was our brother, father, more, chosen by motherland. His name her valiant sons adore in every patriot band. God of our brethren and our sires, be thou our Father now, whilst at our altars and our fires in prayerful grief we bow.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Trenton Falls by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Thine is the charm, O Coyahura bright! 'Tis not the infant cascade's airy dress, nor old Niagara's sacerdotal robe, that clothes thy stream between these nightly cliffs, but in the amber, seemly and mature, of rich experience and hopeful strength thou'rt clad, and when Apollo from his height above the trees, Briareus like, that lift their 100 arms aloft in mute surprise, smiles on thee, thou in turn dost smile. The golden glory of thy graceful form, with silver sandals shod, moves down the slope in conscious loveliness and majesty. Far down below I mark the fretted foam dash on the broad tiled roof, beneath whose eaves the water sprites must dwell. These issue forth anon in merry troops to sweep away the vagrant spray that, like a diamond dust, bestrews the verdure of thy lichened walls. Yet further down, and oh, what fateful wrath of envy-angered rocks thou must endure! They rack thy writhing form, nor heed thy cries, but fierce and merciless they wring and break thy shapeliness, nor spare the torture, till thou driftest on, the wreck of what thou wast, feeble and faint, to fall an easy prey to man's coarse purposes. He drives thee then, a helpless, hopeless, unresisting slave.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Laughing Eyes by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. O ripe red lips, O laughing eyes, beauty like yours hath high emprise. Then why not spare poor humble me? Not great my fault, show clemency. I only looked with reverence true, nor sinful thought nor impulse knew. I dared not even covet such prize. Then mock me not, O sweet bright eyes! O pearly teeth, O heavenly eyes! For one, what joy from you shall rise! But not for me, ah, not for me! 'Twere ecstasy, 'tis agony. Yet let me gaze upon thy face, I'll crush the hope of near embrace. One peep into this paradise, banished then I, O beauteous eyes! O glossy hair, O lovely eyes! This moment blest too swiftly flies. One moment more in bliss to bask, not much to give, though much to ask. Then all of life will take its hue from one sweet thought of worship true. My course henceforth, foolish or wise, shall shine with light from glorious eyes. Soft blooming cheek, sweet cruel eyes, far, far away my shallop plies. Farewell, bright face and graceful form, I go to meet life's stress and storm. Nay, look not so! Art thou not glad? A downcast glance? A tear? Art sad? O matchless joy! O blest surprise! Forever mine, dear loving eyes!
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Hellas by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Hellas, happy Hellas, mighty and glorious, lovingly thine azure sky embraced thy fruitful sea. Fruitful in triumphs, Hellas victorious, fruitful too in commerce from thy galleys fleet and free. Hellas, happy Hellas, crowned and resplendent, wisdom, culture, eloquence, thy jewels rich and rare. Bowed low the nations, conquered, dependent, proud to catch the sunbeams of thy smile so sweet and fair. Hellas, happy Hellas, grateful, revering, quaff we still thy peerless streams of art and poesy. Thy heroes greet we, spirits appearing yonder, where the sky serene bends down to kiss thy sea.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Glory of Athens by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Pericles, statesman and hero, fresh from his conquest of Samos, stood on the Pnyx in his triumph, drinking the praises of Athens. Into the port of Piraeus had entered his gaily decked galleys, oars plashing stroke by stroke onward, guided by flute's dulcet music. Bronzed were the seamen and soldiers, brave were their hearts, and most hearty shouts did they send 'gainst the sea wall, and up to great Pallas Athena, shouts of devotion to Hellas, to Pericles, grandest of leaders. Now on the Pnyx towered he, the noblest of all that assembly, like the Acropolis height, looking calmly on jubilant Athens. Scarcely complete was her Parthenon, brilliant, sublime, and majestic, holding the rays of the sun in purest and dazzling white marble, scheme of the artist's soul Phidias, Pericles' friend and companion. Gazed he upon it, this chieftain, poet more even than warrior, gazed on this glorious home of the goddess of Athens' great palace. Then to the grateful assembly he spoke, interrupting their plaudits. Yonder behold your Acropolis, sacred forever to beauty. Beauty will rule your republic, kindest and gentlest of tyrants. Only to her shall be yielded the homage of freemen of Hellas. Shout not your praises to Pericles, soldier and citizen only. Athens, whose mission and destiny are on that hilltop emblazoned, calls for your paeans of glory, and Athens is daughter of beauty. Honor her wisdom and art, philosophy, poetry, music, all that is lovely in thought, and beaming with genius and culture. These are the themes that entrance us, greater than carnage and conquest. Over them all and pervading sits the divinity, Pallas, goddess of all that is wise, and thus of the beautiful also. Sits in the highest of councils, beauty enthroned and enthralling. Sophocles, sweetest of poets, no sentiment gives us beyond this. Socrates, thinker and questioner, questions not, this is pure wisdom. Great Anaxagoras, sage and reasoner, will not oppose me, none shall be skeptical here, and none shall refuse his allegiance. Graces and muses unite to lead us to willing subjection, to one sweet sublimity only, to beauty serene and most queenly. Thus spoke the orator, matchless, the gracious and mighty Olympian. Joyously then he abandoned his wreath for the smiles of Aspasia.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Mine by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Yes, mine, my own, bone of my bone, my other soul that makes me whole. Thus flesh and mind one tie can bind. My lovely face, my form of grace, my charming smile, devoid of guile, my lips sincere, sweetest when near, for me the thought with goodness fraught, and sweetest word ear ever heard, in tenderest tone to mortal known. Heart of my heart, the sacred part I form with thee, one unity, my gentle guide, my only pride, my hope, my life, my joy, my wife.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Born on the wedding day, by Lewis V.F. Randolph. LibriVox.org. I'm 21 today, this morn I told her, just reached majority, not 1 day older. No one would think, she'd said, that you are 50, with hair so brown, with air so gay and thrifty. Nay, just of age I am, loving is living, and 21 years have you been giving into my spirit floods of light and sweetness, whilst time has sped with wings of passing fleetness. Then say not I am 50, this good May day. I count behind full many a glad and gay day, all spent with you, and hope for more in plenty. But mind, today I'm only 21.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Wedding Anniversary After 60 Years by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. The year had climbed its topmost height just 60 years ago, had reached the region of delight, midsummer's calm plateau, the well-contented golden days reluctant to depart, basked in the loving ardent rays fresh from the sun's great heart, where trooped the multi-tinted bloom o'er lawn and garden fair. From morning gray to evening gloom joy was beyond compare. The valley lilies, meekly small, in worship low had bent to lordly lilacs grand and tall, and both their day had spent. Now roses too had filled the June with hue and perfume rare, whilst thrush and catbird sang in tune with nature everywhere. The next would be the nation's day, for 60 years and more. Our land, bedecked with banners gay, had heard its cannons roar. The land to freedom consecrate, in bloom and verdure clad, in waving corn and ripened wheat, with hope and promise glad. Love measures not by years, I ween, her voyage o'er the seas. To them it seems but yester-e'en their good ship took the breeze, and many a day they've sailed and sailed, nor recked the hours that passed. They saw, howe'er the winds prevailed, a haven sure at last. To them, great Father, still be kind, nor let thy favors cease. With store and basket, strength and mind, give length of days and peace. July 3rd, 1898.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Magi, A Christmas Carol and Song of Epiphany by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. They came from the east, from the source of light, where ages ago the day was born, whence rides the sun in his wondrous might, his chariot wet with the dew of morn. They turned from the sun to track a star, but never for this did their zeal grow less, and they hailed at last, after journeying far, the glorious Sun of righteousness. They came from the east, the land of spice, and laden with perfumes rich and rare, a fragrant and precious sacrifice, like incense of humble and holy prayer. They found a flower in Bethlehem's inn, far sweeter than in the Orient grows. Unsoiled of earth, untouched of sin, was the bud of Sharon's lovely rose. They came from the east, and of kingly state their peers had been in their native land. Yet now for them all it was meet to mate with the lowly carpenter's family band. For in that infant, meek and fair, they marked the signs of lofty birth, and gladly they gave him homage there, the rightful king of all the earth.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Lines written for the opening of a hall devoted to music, oratory, social functions, and the drama. By Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. 'Tis many a league across the seas to Thrace, and many an age has run its reckless race, since at the sacred sweet Castalian spring, on Mount Parnassus, mortals sought to bring their votive offerings to the glorious Nine, the Muses, both by birth and deeds divine, daughters of Zeus and fair Mnemosyne, patrons of history and poesy, Clio, Euterpe, and their sisters seven, who brought the thoughts of gods to earth from heaven. At feasts of great immortals when they sang, Apollo played, and grand Olympus rang with wave on wave of high majestic song, and then with rapturous plaudits loud and long. They sing the story of creation fair, and all the dreadful perils heroes dare. For Cadmus, at his nuptials, they rejoice, or erst lament Achilles' death, with voice so mournful, and with tones of such distress, that gods and men mix tears of tenderness. They know the past, the future they foretell. A favored few of mortals feel their spell and write, or sing, or strike the stirring lyre, with themes that thrill, or passions fierce as fire. To call adown the ages or the seas, the Muses to indite such lines as these, presumption were, but not t'invoke their grace, to bless and brighten this our chosen place, for grave instruction and diversion pure, for plays that please and doctrines that endure, for voice of cantatrice or choral song, for lightsome step of mirth, for social throng. Our music hall, adorned as seen to-night by many a lovely face, with eyes of light, outshining far the lesser charms of art, playing their modest and appointed part, might well Calliope with epic greet, or give Terpsichore a welcome meet, or Polyhymnia singing sacred strains, or Clio summing up the century's gains, Thalia radiant with her mirthful eyes, or sweet Urania telling of the skies. Ah well, though nymphs and goddesses no more may walk on time's dull and prosaic shore, nor even an Orpheus hitherward may roam, seeking Eurydice so far from home, yet inspirations now as ne'er before come trooping over from the further shore, where spirit broods, unbound by flesh and sense, as birds of passage come, we know not whence, bring gladsome message to the weary soul, add truest wealth to earth's penurious dole. So may we see, upon our modest stage, the fruits that ripen in this later age, the fruits of wisdom, wit, and song, display their charms to these dear folk for many a day. And oft when night, in her white garden path, sickle in hand, finds bounteous aftermath of starry blossoms, here may merit find, amidst our borders, garlands to her mind, and plenteous sheaves in joyful harvest bind.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Welcome to the Delegates at the National Sunday School Convention by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Lo, the throng in coming with the springtide, mingling grateful anthems with the bird, visiting like showers of sweet refreshing groves whose buds to life are gently stirred. Greet we these, our brethren, bringing with them promise of the blossom of the soul, watered by the showers of heavenly blessing, seeking like the birds a joyous goal. Give we now to all a cordial greeting. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our hearts. Glad that from our souls, though time be fleeting, holy Christian friendship ne'er departs. These have caught the Spirit of the Master, calling little children to their Lord, seeking out betimes the poor, forsaken, bearing them the gospel of the Word, giving here and there a cup of water from the ever-brimming fount of life, lifting from despair the son and daughter, fallen in the sad and painful strife. Give we now to all a cordial greeting. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our hearts. Glad that from our souls, though time be fleeting, holy Christian friendship ne'er departs. Give us in our labor, gracious Father, faith like that which Noah had of old. While the threatening tempest yet must gather, may we to the ark conduct thy fold. Building, trusting, hoping for deliverance, riding then the storm we will not fear, till the Spirit dove shall bring us tidings that the sacred mount of rest is near. Give we now to all a cordial greeting. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our hearts. Glad that from our souls, though time be fleeting, holy Christian friendship ne'er departs.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sung at the 12th anniversary of the Newark Philomathic Society, May 1866, by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. 'Tis sweet in spring through garden or glade to gather the garlands that bloom but to fade, but sweeter far in the springtime of youth to gather the fadeless flowers of truth. When summer the lifeblood of nature warms, we gladly pluck fruit from her generous arms, but the fruits of a noble manhood's prime are more precious than those of the sunniest clime. Give praise to the glorious King, who gives life summer and spring. From year to year this favored band have passed through a pleasant and beautiful land, where purity's fruits and poetry's flowers have gladdened the flight of the swift-winged hours, found still by each northward journeying sun, with hearts all united and aims ever one. The flowers and fruits of peace we bring, the triumphs of truth and love we sing. Give praise to the glorious King, who gives life summer and spring.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Christmas Hymn, 1868, by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Across the Jordan and from far come eager Eastern sages. Still meteor-like yon moving star each eye and heart engages. In Bethlehem's hovel, poor and small, their humble homage centers. 'Tis here the mighty Lord of all our world of sorrow enters. O happy day, O happy place! Wondrous indeed the story. There dwelt divine and infant grace, frail form with godlike glory. The child in Bethlehem's manger born, the man with grief acquainted. The Christ whom sinners dared to scorn now reigns o'er all the sainted. But still he loves, as once of old, the little ones to gather. shelters the lambs within his fold, and brings them to his Father. O happy day! O happy place! Wondrous indeed the story! There dwelt divine and infant grace, frail form with godlike glory.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Song for a Mercantile Library Dinner, November 1868, by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Air, America. When day's bright work is done, cloud escorts to the sun their flags entwine. When summer's mission ends, autumn her glories blends, and many a gem depends from tree and vine. Thus twined and blended here, our hearts in love draw near, this festal eve. To some day yet is bright, with summer's bloom in sight, or others autumn's light its spell doth weave. Like trade's great thoroughfares, piled high with varied wares, are marts of thought. From tomes of mingled lore, on shelves we've known of yore, our minds from many a store this night are taught. O may we merchants be of what shall make men free, in age or youth, and when in street or hall 'tis asked what wares we call, we'll answer each for all, we buy the truth.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sung at the 25th anniversary of a faithful ministry, by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. For all the space our friend has wrought, we thank thee, Lord, and mark thy hand through days with showers of mercy fraught, through years with bows of promise spanned. For all the grace on him bestowed, for all great wisdom hath withheld, for strength and weakness, sun and cloud, we praise thee now, all doubts dispelled. Now on his loved ones and on him may all thy richest blessings fall. Our strength is frail, our sight grows dim, but none on thee shall vainly call.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Colorado and Its Canyon, by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Sweep grandly on, O fierce and mighty flood, artery of sentient hills serene and tall, whose red arms, lifted, claim more ancient blood than we who count our sires from Adam's fall. Why dost thou choose to wash these rugged steeps, rather than wander on the sunlit plain? Dost love to plash about the donjon keeps, thy current fretted with its murky stain? Oh, what are storied castles on the Rhine, compared with these more ancient and more grand? And what the streams of Alp and Apennine beside this torrent of our sunset land? 'Mongst northern snows it lifts its throbbing head, its foot rests calmly in the tropic sand. Its life so restless, all disturbed its bed, sleeps when with yonder gulf locked hand in hand. Ah, life is also like this turbid stream, and frowning walls hem our imperilled path. But from its source each drop bears wisest scheme. Peace wakes at last from fitful dreams of wrath.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
On Lake Huron, by Lewis V.F. Randolph. LibriVox.org. To look through nature up to nature's God, to know that in the graceful bending sky the King of Heaven is bending over us, encompassing about his chosen ones with sure protection and a joy serene, to feel his breath in every passing breeze, and in the smiling sun to meet his eye. Such precious thought and feeling like to this are far too grand in their expansive swell for the poor scanty dress of threadbare words. And why may not the soul each moment rise to contemplation from ethereal heights, when spirit wings droop near us and invite to regions purer than the realm of sense? Alas, we steep our better part in sin, or let the chain of sloth be bound about the languid faculties in bondage vile. Not that with sudden onset overcome of evil, we are thrown and firmly held apart from pure communings with our God, through sacred mediums by him ordained, but by degrees of which we take no note, by heeding not to keep the heart attuned to lofty themes, worthy a lofty birth, we loose the tie that bound us to the sky, while hour by hour the Spirit's guiding light beneath the dark horizon sadly sinks. We fail to note the twilight of the soul, nor dream that night is stealing o'er the view, until perchance when rising to look out upon the marvels of the universe, we find the vision barred on every side and naught sublime that offers intercourse. Thank God! This blest communion still I hold, and feel this moment its exalting spell, while standing on this stately vessel's deck, a pure delight inhaling with the breeze. Meanwhile the lake, her throbbing bosom cleft by the sharp keel, gives forth a soft complaint, yet smiles where'er the morning's diamond rays glitter resplendent on her silver plumes. Meanwhile the clouds alternate, grow and melt, each instant taking new and beauteous form, or in a transitory grandeur stand above the distant shore, itself a cloud.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Two Sublimities by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. There are two sublimities in nature, one of motion, one of rest. The first, Niagara; the second, Mont Blanc. Remark of Richard Cobden to his friend Goldwin Smith. 'Tis meet it should be so, sublimity of motion for our land, whose life in strong pulsations deep and grand no rest can ever know. But where the icy crest, so coldly brilliant, crowns the regal hill, behold the symbol of a changeless will, sublimity of rest. There time is old, his brow is seared and silvered with the patriarch's hoar, though in the fateful past he never wore a nobler mien than now. Here time is young, the blood of youth is coursing through his frame, and lo, he now, in loftiest paeans, fame, America has sung. How glorious here to stand, at nature's shrine, uncovered then to bend, and here receive, while love and reverence blend, a baptism from her hand. Most glorious 'tis of all, to stand with freedom, whose resistless wave oppression tries to stem, herself to save from her impending fall. That baptism to endure, which, though it be of blood, must ever show athwart the flood a clear resplendent bow of peace benign and pure. Niagara Falls, September 14th, 1864.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Adorning the Doctrine, Titus chapter 2 verse 10, by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Adorn the doctrine of the Lord, for me how great the task! Adorn the glory of His word, in whose bright beams I bask. Yet fresh from lucid depths of truth, this pearl of peerless ray is set most fittingly, in sooth, when fixed in humble clay. If barren rocks, though bald and scarred, grow bright beneath the beams, which through sweet morning's gates unbarred pour in refulgent streams, then gardens sown with seed divine should shine in loveliest dress, when o'er them smiles in peace benign the sun of righteousness. Forbid, dear sun, that sombre pall of doubt should thee eclipse, or sin's dread shadows ever fall from hand or heart or lips.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Thanksgiving, 1875, by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Give thanks, give thanks, give thanks, my country, for God hath given thee peace. From sword and plague His shield hath saved, and made thy power increase. Rejoice, old men and matrons, in comfort of His truth. Young men, give praise with maidens fair for all the joys of youth. Sing gladsome songs, O children, born in this land and age. Grow heavenward with a noble aim, in noble strife engage. Give thanks, ye favored people, for life with broadened scope, for worldly thrift, for holy ties, for mightier nerve and hope. Today with grateful anthems let all our borders ring, to God our Father and our friend, to God our only King.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Peace. Let us have peace. Letter of Acceptance, 1868, by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. For peace do we pray, ay, we labor, for peace between neighbor and neighbor. Away with fell hate, the destroyer. Call love back to life and enjoy her. Like Jesus to snatch from the charnel the victim of spirits infernal. From her grave clothes sweet love to deliver, the garment of gladness to give her. O beautiful task, the divinest! Great Father, thou ever assignest, O miraculous power achieving the masterpiece of the believing. When the land was o'erswept by the demon of grief and destruction, when seamen and landsmen left labor and barter to change to the hero and martyr, then the hum of the wheel and the reaper was hushed at the wail of the weeper, at the cannon's dread boom and the whistle of the swift and unmerciful missile. Thank God that to prayer He has hearkened, though the storm clouds of conflict have darkened. The stars on our flag have relighted, a nation redeemed and united. Lo, the channels of commerce yet cumbered, and the wrecks of high promise unnumbered. Still calumny's spear is not broken, and jealousy's lies are yet spoken. The horizon no longer is darkling, but glows with a banner all sparkling, with hope, and our moral aurora shows beauties diviner than Flora. Aye, let us have peace, and confessing our lack of deserving the blessing, we'll thank the great Giver who sends it, and honor the man who defends it.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Now, by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Live in the present, for 'tis all thou hast, and covet not the treasure thou hast spent. Use every moment as it were thy last. What though the future shall be opulent with golden privilege and sparkling joy? Thou canst not know thou shalt inherit these. A fateful breath may all thy hopes destroy. Seize thou thine instant opportunities. Live in the present. Give not one regret to what thou couldst not if thou wouldst recall, nor seek to span the gulf before thee set with bridge of futile fancy, soon to fall. Across the chasm a highway shall be thrown, for thee to tread in honor and in peace, bearing thy burden, cheerful though alone, nor vainly longing for a quick release. Live in the present. Every day express the oil of gladness sweet experience holds, the oil of patience, faith, and holiness. These each pure moment like a flower enfolds. With these anointed shall thy soul give forth a perfume grateful as the spikenard, poured by the poor woman kneeling on the earth, upon the sacred feet of Christ the Lord.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Man with the Hoe, by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Who least requires the pity of his kind, who least desires your condescending aid, he who with plough and hoe has conquered earth, piled high her treasures, gathered by his toil, then sent them far to fill his fellow men with cheer and strength in every walk of life. Perchance his soul has grovelled as has yours, losing for long that intercourse sublime which even humble minds may have with heaven, forgetting in less worthy things absorbed the themes most fit to stir his deepest life. Whose soul can soar forever with the lark, piercing the blue and pouring forth her notes in tireless ardor toward the smiling sun. Twofold our nature is, earthy of earth, and holding kinship with the angels too, who loiters or who labors in the mart, the factory, the farm, or else where the foot of man may wander, may forego his sonship's privilege, and dwell with swine, far from the portals of his Father's house. Least apt are they to be imbruted souls, whose lives here spent beneath the azure arch shun competition's strife and tricky trade. Peace is this temple of the open sky. Trust is its roof tree, freedom is its thought, and purity its atmosphere benign, its cult the sweet paternity of God. Here nature blends her tuneful harmonies, and whilst one prays, the spirit dove descends. The sturdiest, strongest, bravest men are they who gather nourishment and fortitude and lofty purpose from God's great outdoors, the while through straight brown billows of the soil they drive the plough, or when the sun and rains, divinely sent, faithful and diligent, have ripened well the wisely planted seed, garner in autumn all the gladdening gold. Least apt are these, the children of the soil, to suffer long a needless tyranny, and if they cling to honored customs loved, and homes in which their fathers lived and died, shall any dare defame them for their choice, or foist on them a pity they would scorn? Ye who would fain behold our world transformed, either by fierce upheavals or by dreams, commiseration for the worker spare. 'Tis he who labors patiently and well, at humbler or at higher tasks, or both, whose slow accumulations bless mankind with stepping stones of means for progress sure, and themes for poets or for angels' song. There is no scale that weighs the wage for work, though worlds are weighted that sail the universe, the tireless journeys of celestial spheres, eclipses, movements, balances, returns, the dizzy whirl, in great cotillions swift, of suns and satellites athwart the sky. All these are measured by the master mind, with times and compensations furnished forth. Not so the measurements of groping men, of what is meet as labor's just return. And though man's mind may weigh the heavenly orbs, and e'en predict the straying comet's course, he cannot, if he would, declare the meed, exact and just, for service here or there. And so he bargains, barters, or controls, and gains the best result at cheapest hire. Supply, demand, with ignorance and chance, are factors in the fluctuating wage. Conventions come, rates, grades, and sliding scales, they cut the tangles, but they fail to mark true lines of value for the worker's day. And every worker's value varies too. The standards shift as do the drifting sands, the hourly sport of fickle ocean's waves. Alas, the reeling reckoning of man on things that touch his duty and the right! For truth the sage and priest make futile quest, the good physician guesses remedies, the judge but gropes and staggers at the law, the daft reformer tilts at windmills still, and with distorted eye the Christian reads the very text that points the way to life. If thus we live, as in the dawn of truth, the night still struggling for the mastery, shall workers then denounce the elements, or as by fierce delirium beset, strike blindly out, heeding and recking not what blows thus given may shatter and destroy, so that like Samson, desperate and blind, they might but wreak revenge in ruin's crash? Shall we be blameless if we warm and nurse the serpent anarchy to work our woe? Nay, rather turn we to the fairer side of mysteries which faith must find yet dim. For who can doubt that even ill-got gains, damning the getter to the lowest depths, by Providence transmuted, serve his plans? The greedy grasp but for a moment holds, the world of life inherits every hour, houses and lands, parks, monuments, and roads, inventions schemes, and purposes of power, which dead hands can but drop and leave behind. And if the stout-armed toiler proved a man in larger sense and moved by larger heart, if, as he seized the elements of strength, whilst still in plenitude of worthy will, he gave back freely to his weaker kin the well-earned product of his toil and thought, then twice blessed he who could both win and give the wealth that else might not have learned to bless. Patience shall conquer all, not fierce recoil, when man shall reach the topmost peaks of joy, and in serenest mind look back on life, shall dread destruction or impatience stand, the almoner of grace and goodly gifts. Nay, rather, shall a stately Christly form emerge upon the path so bravely trod, and with a voice of gracious dignity proclaim, I, labor, am the friend of man, his teacher, guard, companion to the end. By me his great achievements all are won, by me his feet have gained supernal heights.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Easter by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. He is risen. Hail his presence, broken seal and empty grave. These declare the King triumphant, strong to conquer and to save. Nunc surrexit, vera, vera, joyous be our hearts and brave. Better feast than of Aostra, goddess of the rising sun, or the grander old Passover, this that tells of victory won. Nunc surrexit, vera, vera, shout for what our Lord has done. Lo, the Paschal Lamb who suffered, now the Prince whom empires bless, led the star above the manger to the Sun of righteousness. Nunc surrexit, vera, vera, let the earth her Lord confess. Bring the flowers that tell of springtime, garlands to the altars bring. May the joyful choirs of heaven with the earth responsive sing. Nunc surrexit, vera, vera, Christ is risen, Christ is King.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Epitaph for a Mother in Israel who died at 80 by Lewis V.F. Randolph. Read for LibriVox.org. Twice 40 days the ark of life was borne in safety o'er the death-encompassed flood. The dove-like soul now hails the promised morn and flies to rest upon the mount of God. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. End of Survivals by Lewis V.F.